Hi everyone, my name is Aaron and welcome back. So I want to talk about how to get somebody to leave Scientology because this is not an easy thing. In fact, there have been many times in the past when someone will ask me, what could someone have said to you when you were in Scientology to get you to leave? Or some variation of that question. And my answer is usually absolutely nothing. There's something kind of very special and intense about the type of conditioning that exists in Scientology. Some would call it brainwashing. I hesitate to use the word brainwashing other than just purely in casual conversation. And I would question how many former Scientologists would actually be comfortable using that word either. But there's something very unique about the conditioning, the thought system, the sort of mental machinery that L. Ron Hubbard created that Scientologists ascribe to, where it's almost like the more information you're presented with that's negative of Scientology or critical of Scientology or designed to get you to question Scientology, the more of that you get, or the stronger that it is, or the better that information is, it's almost like the less effective that it is. In the past, I've always said, look, there's nothing anybody could have said to me to get me to leave Scientology. So who am I to tell you there's something you could say to get someone else to leave Scientology? However, there is, and I want to tell you a real story of how the Aftermath Foundation helped a group of friends get one of their very, very closest and very dedicated Scientologists to leave Scientology. Oh, by the way, before I forget to mention it, if you have not heard yet, I am running for Clearwater City Council. And my opponent, Lena Teixeira, who's running against me, is an ally of the Church of Scientology. We cannot let Lena Teixeira win this seat. If you want to support my campaign, you can go to this website right here. You can check it out in the link below. I did just get Leah Remini's full endorsement a few days ago, which I was very honored to have. And anything you guys can do to help me get the word out about my campaign is greatly appreciated. So as I was saying, some time ago I did a video about Scientology's Clear Cognition. Clear Cognition is this highly confidential thing in the world of Scientology, where in an auditing session, there's something that the person receiving auditing is supposed to say that to the auditor is supposed to indicate that this person may have just achieved the state of clear. And in Scientology, the state of clear is a very important state. It's about halfway up Scientology's bridge to total freedom. And in a nutshell, a clear is supposed to be someone who has erased their reactive mind. The reactive mind is Hubbard's version of the subconscious mind. And in an auditing session, there's something a pre-clear is supposed to say. And you would think that this is a very commonly known or understood thing in Scientology. But in fact, it's one of Scientology's most closely guarded secrets, even more closely guarded than the OT3 Xenu story. And so I mentioned this thing about the clear cognition because I'll tell you that I believe, the way I approach this whole thing, is that the main thing that keeps people in Scientology is the unknown, the mystery, and the lies. This is in contrast to what a Scientologist will actually say to you if you ask them anything about Scientology. If you ask them anything about Scientology, they'll talk about its day-to-day usefulness, its real-world application, the tools for handling life and solving problems. And these are all things that Scientologists, do genuinely feel they get out of Scientology. But what these things are not the reason they stay in Scientology. They stay in Scientology because of the mystery and the unknown. L. Ron Hubbard described this, painted this whole picture of what a person will achieve when they get to the very top of Scientology's bridge to total freedom. And he called this state full Operating Thetan. And Hubbard spoke extensively about what full Operating Thetan is. And it is essentially becoming a god in a literal sense. And so he spoke extensively about the state of full OT, but he also spoke extensively about the state of clear. And not many Scientologists reach the state of clear, and even fewer Scientologists finish OT8 and get to the top of the bridge. But so I'm mentioning the state of clear and the state of OT and the confidentiality surrounding these things because when I was growing up in Scientology, I spent a very large portion of my life actually working for Scientology, not just being a Scientologist, but working for them. And when I was working for them, it was on the technical side of things. So training auditors, delivering auditing. And so for this large portion of my life, I would hear this thing about the clear cognition. They call it the clear cog. I would hear somebody having to have their auditing folders removed to put tabs on all the clear evidence. And I thought it was all this very specific and technical and kind of magical thing. And for me, especially as a younger person, in this organization, this mystery surrounding, oh my God, the clear cognition. Oh, there's like a specific thing. It's like, this is like a technical thing. It's like, it's very black and white. It's very, sort of mechanical. Like, it's not just this kind of spiritual theedy-weedy stuff. This is like the real deal. The fact that I didn't know what the clear cognition was, the mystery surrounding it, the unknown, the lie, the fact that I didn't have that information is one of the things that allowed me to continue believing in all of it. Now, it's possible that if I had received that information, I would have sort of figured out how to assimilate that, and I would have moved on to the next thing I was in mystery about and decided to keep believing. But for me, having never personally achieved the state of clear in Scientology, and having never trained on how to deliver what they call the clear certainty rundown, which is a certain auditing action where you verify if this person has really had the clear cognition. Because I had not done those things, I was still wrapped up in the mystery and the unknown surrounding the state of clear and the clear cognition. Now, after I left Scientology, I found out what the clear cognition was. And it's this stupid. It's the person getting auditing sitting there and going, I just realized I've been creating my own reactive mind all along, and I'm not doing it anymore. Ta-da, I'm clear. The moment I found that out, I was so upset. I was so upset that the evidence that someone had achieved this magical state of clear was something so stupid and ridiculous. And something any Scientologist could have thought at any given time. They just didn't know that that's what they were supposed to say in the auditing session. So I'm telling this personal story about the significance finding out about the clear cognition had on me. Because when I did a video about the clear cognition, I did it as like, hey, by the way, I usually say there's no way you can get somebody out of, there's nothing you could say to a Scientologist that would get them out of Scientology. But I thought of one thing that might work. And if you have a friend who's a Scientologist and, you're talking to them about the subject and you say, I got a question for you. I was just searching around online and it said about the state of clear. And it said that if, you're in an auditing session and someone says, I just realized I've been mocking up my own reactive mind. I'm not doing it anymore. That all of a sudden that person is clear. That your friend would be like, that's ridiculous. That's preposterous. You don't know what you're talking about. That's just incorrect information. And in the video I said, this conversation may not have any immediate impact on your friend. But somewhere down the line, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, when they find out you were correct, they're going to wonder, one, how in the hell did you know that? Two, if that information you found online was true, then maybe everything else you've seen online is also true. The point was that having that conversation with the friend would at least plant a seed of doubt that might sprout later on. And that suggesting that to someone was at least better than telling them there's nothing they could do at all. And the story that I want to tell you is similar to that because it attacks the next level of mystery, the next level of unknown, the next level of lies that keep people in Scientology. Like I said, people might derive, Scientologists might derive benefit in their daily life from the sort of tools that Scientology gives them to deal with this and to deal with that. But they stay in Scientology because of the lies they've been told about what they're going to achieve at the top of Scientology's bridge to total freedom. So a while back, I was contacted by a group of friends. These people had never been in Scientology. And they had one of the members of their friend group who, unbeknownst to them, had been a Scientologist for a very long time. And this person had simply never spoken about it to them, which is interesting in its own right. And these friends, this group of friends, they've been friends for years and years and years and years. And somehow they never knew that their friend was a Scientologist. And the reason they had now come to learn that this person was a Scientologist is because she was about to completely upend her life and quit. She had already achieved the state of clear. She was about to sell her house. She was about to quit her very high-paying job. And she was about to move from where she lived to move to Clearwater, Florida full-time and do what they call in Scientology, go from clear to OT7. In other words, you basically move into the base, you move into the Fort Harrison Hotel, and you basically do absolutely nothing for 6 to 12 months, but do your OT preparations, OT eligibility, solo audited course part 1, solo audited course part 2, OT 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then once you get on to 7, you get to go back home and basically audit yourself for the next 2 to 5 to 10 years, every single day. All right, so I told these friends, I said, first of all, the Aftermath Foundation does not concern itself with trying to convince people to leave Scientology. That's not a good way for us to spend our time, because by and large, you can't just convince somebody to leave Scientology. And I said, but look, I'm willing to just give you advice on this, but I want to warn you that what you're trying to do has a low success of working. And the advice I'm going to give you has a low chance of working. But it's the only thing that could even possibly work. And yet it's either going to work or it's going to completely blow up in your face, and it's more of like an 80% chance it's going to blow up in your face. And there's a chance your friend will never speak to you again. There's a chance your friend will completely disconnect from you. And I don't even want you to attempt this unless you're prepared to never see or hear from your friend again. And they said, we care about her so much. And we are so afraid of what she's about to do and that it's going to ruin her life and that she'll regret it, that we are willing to take this chance. If there's a chance, it will save her from making this mistake. And I said, okay. And I told him the example of the Clear Cognition story that I just told you guys. And I said, but your friend has already attested to the state of clear, even though she does not know what the Clear Cognition is. You don't actually learn what it is until you do the Clear Certainty Rundown Auditor Delivery course. I said, but your friend is now chasing a new carrot. She's chasing full OT. Everything she thought she was going to get when she attested to clear, she knows she didn't. But there's that new carrot, and she's chasing that new carrot. And just like the mystery about the state of clear was the first carrot, the mystery about the state of OT and full OT is the new carrot. And I believe if you have any chance of getting your friend to not sell her house and quit her job and move to Clearwater for the next year, you have to very calmly and with care and with grace somehow tell her what is on OT 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 to plant that seed of doubt so that she might go, no, there's no way that's true. And then maybe she'll do something to check it out for herself. When she finds out it's really true, it'll be a very eye-opening moment. So they said, look, she's going to be coming over for dinner on this day. We want to prepare adequately. And I said, look, you have to do this truly from a point of purely care, not hate, not criticism, not hate of Scientology, not anything. And I think the best way to approach it is that you wanted to educate yourself as much as possible on something that was important to your friend. So it would be something like, if you sit her down and you say, look, you're about to make this huge change. This is something obviously important to you. We have our concerns about it, but we obviously don't know what we're talking about. So we did our homework. We wanted to bone up on this thing that is clearly so important to you so that we could, with adequate information, discuss this with you from a place of care. And, we just want to make sure our information is correct. And if it's not, we want to be able to get the true information from you. And figure out where exactly you want to enter this conversation. But at some point you need to arrive at, this is our understanding of what it means, the state of clear means. And then this is our understanding of what's addressed on the OT levels. And you have to mention, these body thetans, and that you're going to spend the next 6 to 12 months telepathically auditing thetans, spirits that are stuck to your body to make them go clear. And is that really what you're signing up for? And what's going to happen in this conversation is she has no idea that's what she's about to do. And no one in their right mind presented with that opportunity would agree to do that up front. When Scientologists start the OT levels and when they pay for them and when they decide to move to flag to do them, they don't know that's what they're signing up for. And by the time they get it, by the time they start doing it, I'm sure there's a small percentage of people who find that helpful, but there's a larger percentage of people who are like, well, it's too late to turn back now. I'll keep going. LRH couldn't have been lying about all of it. You know, all the Scientologists I know who go on and on about how wonderful the OT levels were, they couldn't all have been BSing me this whole time, right? And it just becomes this, you know, the analogy about the frog being slowly boiled in hot water. Like if you do it slow enough, the frog will just stay in the water until it's dead. And, you know, you're going to reach a point in this conversation where she's going to be totally convinced that this information you're giving her is just utter, absolute bullshit. Because no one in Scientology would ever not only assume that's what's on the OT levels, but my 30 plus years in Scientology never would have led me to the point where someone would have presented me with that information about what's on the OT levels. And I would have been like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Nothing I did in Scientology would have prepared me for that being what's on the OT levels. And I said, look, as long as you approach your friend with this, with genuine care, a gentle touch, a thirst for knowledge, like you're not throwing it at her like, really? Like, you know, like we want to know from you, is this accurate information? And then she's going to have to admit to you for the very first time that she has absolutely no frickin' clue what's on the OT levels. And at the same time, she's going to tell you that your information is completely incorrect. And that will be your opportunity to present to her the amazing contradiction of what she just said. She just told you that the information you're giving her is 100% false. And at the same time is acknowledging she has no idea what the true information is. And then you have to very gently point out to her, you know, look, you're saying that you don't know what's on the OT levels, but you're adamantly refusing that this information is correct. In fact, it seems like you're getting a little upset about it. Does that mean that if this is what's on the OT levels, that would be very upsetting to you? And if so, why? Why would it be so wrong for this to be what's actually on the OT levels? Why are you so adamantly denying this is true? Let's talk about this. And I got to tell you, the amount of time and care that this group of people took to keep their friend from making a terrible decision based on incomplete information was really something. And even though I normally respond to people who ask me, how can I get so-and-so out of Scientology? I normally respond with, there's really nothing you can do. Based on the fact that these friends pulled it off, they did it. What they did with their friend worked. Their friend didn't sell their house, didn't quit their job, didn't move to Clearwater, broke up with her Scientologist boyfriend, and left Scientology. Based on the fact that it worked. That is now the story that I tell. And I still tell the story with warnings, the same warnings that I gave to them. Especially if the person I'm telling the story to grew up in Scientology or has a Scientology family. One of the reasons it was, I'm going to say, lower risk for this friend group to do what they did is their friend didn't have any other family members in Scientology. She wasn't going to lose any family by leaving Scientology. The risks are much, much higher for those who grew up in it, have spouses, kids, parents in Scientology. That's playing with fire. I'm not willing to roll those dice with other people's lives. And so I tell the Clear Cognition story. I tell this other story about the OT levels, and I tell it with the warnings that the stakes are high. You should only attempt to do this if you're willing to basically completely destroy the relationship. And yet, it is something that works. It's a great story, very heartwarming. And it shows that it is possible to get people out of Scientology. The key is to attack the very vulnerable things that keep people in, which is the mystery, the unknown, and the lies. For somebody below the state of clear, that most vulnerable point is whatever bullshit they've been told about the state of clear and the clear cognition. For those who have already attested to the state of clear, the next vulnerable point is all of the bullshit they've been told or not told about what's on the OT levels and what full OT really means. The fact that Hubbard never achieved it, the fact that there are no more OT levels above 8 and 9, but more specifically, it's usually good enough just to tell them what's on the damn OT levels, this body Thetan bullshit. And then for those who've already achieved OT8, the biggest point of vulnerability would be any information relating to the fact that Hubbard never left anything about what OT 9 and 10 was supposed to be. And Ray Midoff has forgotten anything he was ever told about what OT 9 and 10 was supposed to be. And the reason no OT levels have been released since 1986 isn't because orgs aren't big enough, or the orgs aren't ideal yet, or not everybody has finished grad 5 auditor training. The reason those OT levels have not been released yet is because they don't frickin' exist. And the reason Miscavige hasn't created them yet is because, just imagine, if he actually put something out as OT9, just imagine the disappointment factor. These people have already been promised this thing called full OT. These people have already reached OT8, the highest OT level that's been released. They already know it was total bullshit. They're still sticking around because they still believe in the promise of full OT. There's nothing Miscavige could release that will give them that. It doesn't exist, it's not real. So whereas eventually he may come up with something, I believe that whatever he comes up with and releases will mark the true and the new beginning of the end of Scientology from a membership perspective. Because the expectations have gotten so high that anything Miscavige releases is just, it's going to fall flat on its face. There'll be some people that buy it, and some people will just buy anything. But I think Miscavige is in a real quandary. He can't release OT 9 and 10. He's not smart enough or clever enough or anything else enough to come up with something that would actually meet the expectations that have been building since 1986. So my point there was that for those who've already achieved OT8, that is the point of vulnerability. Attacking the lies and the mystery and the unknown surrounding anything that exists above OT8. They believe there's something. The truth is there's nothing. LRH lied about it. Pat Broker lied about it. David Miscavige has been lying about it. And that is what makes Scientology a literal scam. There are some people who say, yeah, but all organizations are scams. I go, well, if you're an atheist, you might believe all organizations are BS. You might believe all religions, I'm sorry. If you're an atheist, you might believe all religion is BS. You might believe all religion is a scam. But the thing is, religious people believe what they believe. They're not lying about believing what they believe. David Miscavige is lying every single day to the faces of all Scientologists about what Scientology is and can deliver. David Miscavige knows there is no OT 9 and 10. He knows there's no such thing as full OT. And he's robbing all Scientologists blind, lying to their faces about it every single day. That is what makes Scientology a scam, aside of what you think, of what someone might think of all religion in general. All right, so I hope this has been helpful. I mean, this isn't something that everyone's going to have an opportunity to do, but it is a very heartwarming example of how you can get someone out of Scientology. Even someone who's already dumped a ton of money into it, is fully committed, is a true believer, is about to sell their home, quit their job, move the flag, go full-time clear to OT7. This person's friends succeeded in getting her out of Scientology. And I wanted everyone to hear that story. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you to everyone who watched until the very end, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right